Now we're about to start our second week, and now we start to get into risk management techniques. How are we going to actually deal with it? How are we going to recognize it, decide how we're going to handle it? And for the topics for this week, expert interviews, planning meetings, basic probability concepts, and then a risk practice methodology. All of these things, including these Chapter 2 in the PMI practice standard, bringing us a better understanding of how to get around our arms around risk and risk management, risk analysis, risk avoidance, mitigation, all those things that we need to do. Very important stuff. In the instructors section this week, I want to talk about the perspective from a project manager's point of view. Developing the mindset, having the right kind of mindset to look at your project and look at your duties and how you're supposed to do things. One of the things that I want to bring to your attention as we're going through this course is your framework, your perspective, how to do things, and how to look at them. A project manager has a tremendous responsibility. No matter who sees the project manager represents the project, either from the customer's point of view, management, the teams, or whatever. The project manager's role is not just a job or anything like that at all. It's a very significant position in the organization, very significant in the project, and a lot of people look to see the health of the project by looking at the manner in which the project manager conducts themselves. One of the things I think is extremely important from a project manager is to avoid surprises, not let surprises occur. They're not in the plan. We don't talk about them in the plan. There's no budget for them. There's no risk really for them. But surprises mean that something was not anticipated. Something good or something bad. It just was not anticipated. And surprises can ruin a lot of things and create some huge problems. The biggest damage that I can see from surprises is that it might rock or knock the project manager off balance, or the project sponsor or customer or management. And when that happens, it brings in a degree of uncertainty. It brings in a degree of an attack against confidence. A good project manager will ensure that there's good communications, people are informed about what might be going on, what might happen, giving them a heads up. Surprises are avoidable, and they do measure the project manager. We really want to make sure that we stay on balance, keep our teams on balance, our sponsors, the customers, all of them on balance. And the best way to do that is make sure you're conducting yourself and communicating in a way that the surprises are avoided. Secondly, as a project manager, always have perspective. Realize that whether you think that you're just acting like a regular person and trying to be just one of the team players or anything like that, the fact that you're a project manager is very significant. And people are easily intimidated by the position of a project manager and the apparent authority. So always have a perspective about your image, your position, your word. Make sure that you manage things with some humility and with some humbleness, but also remember that you are observed all the time for your decisions, for your judgments, for your opinions. Have a rationale always. Don't be shooting from the hip. Don't be just going off and doing something. Have a rationale. With a rationale, they might say, "Well, you came to a bad decision," but they won't say you didn't even think it through or anything of that nature. And behind the rationale, have credible support always. Your image is important. You want to be recognized by your team, by your management, by the customer. You want to grow in your career, and so it's very important you are aware of your image and having a real image, not a phony or a facade or anything like that. Your team will see through you very, very quickly. In how we do it as a project manager, have a perspective. The perspective of a project manager, we live in sort of like a balanced tension, not uncomfortable balance. This is the way we deal with our teams, our associates, managers. Project manager has to have agility, maneuvering room, the ability to see quickly, understand, and take on situations as they occur. Have a vision, a strategy. Always be seeing that goal out there that we have to achieve, that the project has to achieve. Okay? One of the ways that I present this and look at this is with this triangle. We've all seen managers or people we talk to that we believe favor the customer. They always do what the customer wants, or they always do what management wants, or they have a bias towards their direct reports or the people that work for them. I've on many occasions went to see gone to see a department manager and wanted to speak to him about either an issue, a problem, or I had some question about the performance of an individual that belonged to that manager that was on one of my projects. And quite often, as soon as I mentioned that I wanted to talk about somebody in their organization, all of a sudden they went on the defensive. Their person does no evil, is good, is great, is all this kind of stuff. And what I would find out was that I could look and I could see this center, this drawing here, this project manager. I can see that it had a tendency to be very close to their associates, their peers, their direct reports, or close to the management, closer to the customer. So in our responsibilities, relationships, communications, things like that, remember how we used to do it, or at least the way I did it when I was a kid, and I'd go to my dad to get some money. If I wanted $5, I'd ask for 10 because I knew I'd never get what I asked for. I'd always get less. When we go to a project manager or to any manager or anything like that, if we know that they have a bias towards either like the customer or management or whatever, if they have a bias towards some party, what we will do is we will approach them with a strategy how to neutralize what we think is that bias so that we can have a conversation or a discussion or come to where that project manager is balanced and has no specific bias towards any of those three vertexes. The best way to deal with it is being in the center, being well balanced so that as we are approached and as we get into conversations, we can have a conversation about the real subject matter and we don't first have to have somebody or we figure out how are we going to neutralize some bias that some manager has. Manage your your performance for the team, the project. Take a look at the decisions that you make. If you're thinking about your project and you're thinking about your project goal, what you really want to accomplish is the decisions that you make, you want to have some assurance that those decisions are lying as close to the path, the project plan, which gets you closer to the goal. If we start making decisions that take us crosswise away from the goal, or we go backwards because of the decision we make, or things like that, we create chaos and we create discontent and confusion. And so if we keep our project goal in mind and we keep that vision of where we're trying to go and how we really would like the team to perform working with our customers and all our sponsors and stakeholders, then as we make our decisions, they'll have a tendency to lie along the axis heading toward the goal, and those decisions will help us get there a lot easier. And also in the progress we make in our planning and the progress we make as a result of those decisions. We would really like that progress, the portion of it that's made good, what area that's made good, lies along the goal. And if we travel through time and dollars away from the goal, then all that distance that we have traveled and the monies that we have spent have not effectively really gotten us closer to the goal. A portion of it might, but a great amount of it will not, and we'll have to redirect our direction to get us back heading towards that goal. This can be seen very easily as we look at our plan and then we look at the performance against that plan. It'll be just demonstrated really, really clearly how good our decisions are and what kind of progress our project is really being made. And as far as the professional performance leadership, recall the leadership, take responsibility for your project. It is yours. Protect and shield your team. What I mean by that is that we don't whitewash the team and we don't have a bias that protects the team and all that. But if some executive, customer representative, anyone comes along and they decide that somebody made a mistake or screwed up or something like that, and they want to chew them out, I don't put up with that. If something happened by somebody on the project, then that person outside the project that wants to unload, so to speak, I tell them, you unload on me. I represent the project. I'm responsible for the project. If you have to chew somebody out or you need to unload on somebody, then you do it to me. and I will take the responsibility. And if there's a corrective action required, then I'll make sure that corrective action is taken care of. And then once that situation is dealt with whoever that person was, then I will go and I will speak to the individual that was involved in it from the project team, and I'll make a determination from them how it happened, what the cause was, and everything else. And do we need some learning? Do we need some process change? Or did somebody just really screw up? And I want to help them learn from it. And it's not that I will whitewash or prevent somebody from getting some corrective action if needed. It's just that the project is I'm responsible for it, and so if something happens on the project, that is my responsibility. You take me to task for it. If we allow outside individuals to come in and directly go to the team and penetrate the team, and then either chew somebody else out or create some kind of problem or request some kind of change or anything like that, pretty soon the team will look at us as being very, very ineffective. And they'll wonder if we make a decision, who is standing behind us that'll nod and concur with that decision. And that's a bad place for a project manager to be. The project manager really has to be the final authority on the project and has to be respected and looked to by the project team, and provide the leadership so that the project team feel comfortable, feel safe in the sense that they can really concentrate on their work and get it done. In other words, create an environment for a success so that the team can bring the victory and hit the bullseye for everyone else. Another point that I'd like to bring to your attention briefly is when we go into an organization, what I found out is that a priori you need absolute understanding how that organization works. It very effectively helps you decide how you're going to deal with issues, how you're going to get things done when you're dealing with outside the project organization. And I found that in every organization of how they function, there's two ways, and one's de facto, one's de jure. And the de jure is like the legal one, the posted organizational structure, the posted positions and titles and things like that. And quite often, organizations don't really function that way. There's a de facto organizational structure. There's go-to people. There's people that have been around for a long time and they know how to get things done, or they know who's who and they know how to make things done. Make sure you understand what the de facto organizational structure is, and you'll be far more effective in accomplishing the things you need to for your project. In other words, who are the movers and shakers in the organization, the pressure points? How do I get things done? And it's usually not according to the formal organization structure. It's really getting to know who are the people in the company that can get things done, or in the customers community that can really get things done. Okay? I wanted to take this time to mention these subjects to you, give you something to think about. Think about as you operate in this course. I'd like you to think as project managers and see it from the perspective of a project manager. It'll give us a totally different perspective, and actually it will indicate that the things that we're talking about here and in the subject of this course and regarding risk and things like that, we'll realize that what we're covering is a far more serious situation, and we really need to take a good hard look at it. So I hope you've gotten a little more different perspective. You've looked and noticed this opportunity. I hope that I've increased your situational awareness and approach the context, because that is the things we need: perspective, opportunity, situational awareness, and context, necessary and sufficient for our analysis and decision making in the role of a project manager. And it'll be very important to have this understanding as we go forward in this course. That will conclude that portion of it. I want to just give you a little preview of what will come in the week after the second week, and that is the case study assignment 1 will be released, and you'll be able to download that and get into that. We'll also, in Pritchard, cover 3 more chapters. We'll talk about documentation reviews, analogy comparisons, and plan evaluation. These are all related to risk management, risk identification, risk mitigation, avoidance, and things of that nature. Have a good week now. I look forward to the dialogue with you, and I look forward to your comments and discussions. You have a great day.